heard it with my own ears. Why is she even still alive? My heart sank. 5 minutes, that's all it took. 5 minutes ago. He kissed my cheek, shared a toast with me, saying, "Happy New Year, Grandma," like he meant it. Now I stood frozen in my own kitchen, hand trembling on my cane, listening to my own son wish I was dead. 3 years ago, a stroke tried to take me. I spent 6 months learning to walk again, 6 more learning to speak without slurring. I fought for every step, every word. Every morning I got to wake up and still be here. And my first son thought I was taking too long to die. My name is Willa. I'm 68 years old. I live in a house that feels too big for one person now. My husband Thomas built this place when we were young and foolish and believed we'd fill every room with children and laughter. We managed 2 boys before my body said enough. Thomas died 8 years ago, heart attack. He was out in the garden planting tomatoes, and then he wasn't. I found him there among the seedlings, still warm, dirt under his fingernails. The man I'd loved for 40 years, gone between one breath and the next. After that, I learned what alone really means. I have 2 sons. Nathan is my firstborn, 42 years old now. He lives overseas, has for 15 years, built a career, built a life, built a distance between us that I helped create. Then there's Derek, my baby, 38. He stayed close, calls every Sunday, shows up when I need him. After my stroke, he was there every single day. At least, that's the story I told myself. That's the story I told everyone. Growing up, the boys were different as night and day. Nathan came out fighting, colicky baby, stubborn toddler, the kind of child who questioned everything, pushed back on every rule, made me earn every ounce of respect. He was exhausting, brilliant, but exhausting. Derek was easy, sweet-tempered, smiled early, slept through the night at 3 months. When he looked at me with those big brown eyes, I melted every time. I told myself I loved them equally, but children know. They always know. Nathan knew he had to earn what Derek got for free, and somewhere along the way, he stopped trying. By the time Nathan turned 18, he couldn't wait to leave. He got a scholarship, moved across the country, then across the ocean. He called on holidays, at first. Then less, then barely at all. I told people he was selfish, ungrateful, that I'd given him everything and he'd thrown it back in my face. I never asked myself what I'd given him, really, besides criticism, besides comparisons to his brother, besides the feeling that no matter what he did, it would never be enough. I pushed him away for 20 years and then blamed him for being gone. Derek stayed after Thomas died. Derek was there. He handled the funeral arrangements when I couldn't think straight. He helped me sort through Thomas's things. He sat with me on the porch those first terrible weeks, when the silence was so loud I thought it might kill me. "I've got you, Mom," he'd say. "You don't have to worry about anything." And I didn't worry. I trusted him completely. He was my good son, my comfort, my proof that I hadn't failed at everything. 3 years ago, the stroke hit. I was making breakfast. 1 minute I was cracking eggs into a bowl. The next I was on the floor, half my body refusing to respond, my mouth trying to form words that wouldn't come. They told me later I was lucky. The damage could have been worse. I could have died. Some days, in those first months, I wished I had. Learning to walk again at 65 years old is a humiliation no one prepares you for. Your legs betray you. Your words tangle. You need help with things you've done alone for 6 decades. Derek was there through all of it. Physical therapy appointments, medication schedules, holding my arm as I shuffled down the hallway like a woman twice my age. "Take your time, Mom," he'd say. "I'm not going anywhere." I believed him. I believed everything he told me. Nathan sent money after the stroke. At least, that's what Derek told me. "Nathan wired some cash to help with your medical bills," Derek said one day, handing me an envelope with $200 inside. "It's not much, but I guess it's something." I looked at that money and felt the old bitterness rise. $200 for his mother's stroke. After 15 years of barely calling, barely visiting, barely acknowledging I existed, he sent $200 like that would make up for everything. "It's more than I expected from him," I said. Derek nodded sadly. "I know, Mom, I know." This year, Nathan called in October. I almost didn't answer. His name on the screen felt like an intrusion. "Mom," he said when I picked up, "I want to come home for the holidays, for New Year's. I know we haven't been close, but I'm working on some things with a therapist, and I want to try, if you'll let me." I was quiet for a long time. Part of me wanted to say no. Part of me wanted to punish him for every missed birthday, every unanswered letter, every year he chose his life over his family. But another part, the part that remembered holding him as a baby, the part that wondered where I went wrong, that part said yes. "You can come," I said, "but don't expect everything to be fixed in one visit." "I don't expect anything, Mom. I just want a chance." Derek wasn't happy about it. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" he asked when I told him. "You know how Nathan is. He'll just upset you." "He's my son, Derek. So am I. And I'm the one who's been here. Where was he when you had the stroke? Where was he when Dad died?" I didn't have an answer for that, because Derek was right. He'd been there. Nathan hadn't. "I just don't want to see you get hurt," Derek said, softer now. "You've been through enough." "I know, baby, I know. But I have to try. He's still my son." Derek hugged me. "You're too good, Mom. That's your problem. You're too good to people who don't deserve it." Nathan arrived 2 days before New Year's Eve. I barely recognized him. He was broader now, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes that hadn't been there the last time I saw him, whenever that was. He stood in my doorway with a suitcase in one hand and flowers in the other. "Hi, Mom." I didn't know what to do with my hands, with my face. I'd spent so many years being angry at this man that I'd forgotten what came before the anger. "Well," I said, "come in. You're letting the cold out." Not the warmest welcome, but it was something. The first day was awkward. We talked around each other. Polite questions, safe topics, the weather, his flight, my garden. Derek came by that evening. I watched him hug Nathan, stiff, brief, and I saw something flicker across Nathan's face, something old. "Good to see you, brother," Derek said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You too," Nathan replied. They sat on opposite ends of the couch like strangers. I made dinner. We ate. We talked about nothing. And when Derek left, Nathan stood at the window and watched his brother's car disappear down the street. He seems good, Nathan said quietly. He's been wonderful, through everything. Nathan nodded, didn't say anything else. The second day was harder. We got into an argument. I don't even remember how it started. Something small, a comment about the past, and then all the years came flooding up like water through a cracked dam. You have no idea what it was like, Nathan said, his voice rising. You have no idea what it felt like to grow up in this house. Derek could do no wrong. Derek was perfect, and me, I was never enough, no matter what I did. That's not true, I said, but the words felt weak even as I said them. It is true. You know it's true. I spent my whole childhood trying to earn something Derek got just for existing. If you felt that way, why didn't you say something? He laughed, not a happy laugh. I did, Mom, 100 times. You didn't hear me. You never heard me. I didn't have an answer, because deep down, in a place I didn't want to examine, I knew he was right. By New Year's Eve, we'd reached an uneasy truce, not forgiveness, not understanding, just a decision to put the hard things aside for one night and try to be a family. Derek came over around 8. His wife stayed home. She wasn't feeling well, he said. So it was just the 3 of us. I made black-eyed peas and cornbread. Derek brought champagne. Nathan helped me set the table without being asked. For a few hours, it almost felt normal. Almost felt like what I'd always wanted. Both my boys together in my home. At midnight, we counted down. We raised our glasses. Happy New Year, Grandma, they said in unison. Nathan on my left, Derek on my right, both my boys. Together. Nathan clinked his glass against mine. Derek kissed my cheek. I smiled so wide my face hurt. This is it, I thought. This is the year things get better. 5 minutes later, the champagne caught up with me. I excused myself to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Nathan was still in the living room, refilling glasses, laughing at something on the television. Derek had stepped out a few minutes earlier, said he needed some air. I was standing at the sink, running the tap when I heard it. A voice, low, slurred, coming from somewhere down the hallway. Why is she even still alive? Then a laugh, short, bitter, the kind that isn't really a laugh at all. I froze. The glass slipped from my hand, landed in the sink with a clatter. My heart pounded so loud, I was sure whoever said it could hear. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood there, hand gripping the edge of the counter, trying to make sense of what I'd heard. The voice had been muffled. I couldn't see who spoke, but I didn't need to see. I knew. It had to be Nathan. He was the one with the temper, the one who'd been difficult his whole life, the one who'd argued with me just yesterday. Voice rising, old wounds spilling out. Of course it was Nathan. Who else could it be? I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the words over and over. Why is she even still alive? All those years of resentment, all that anger he'd been carrying. He'd come back not to make amends, but to check on his inheritance, to see how much longer he'd have to wait. My firstborn son, the one I'd failed. The one who'd stayed away for 15 years. He wanted me dead. The next morning, I couldn't look at Nathan. He came downstairs early, made coffee, brought me a cup without being asked. Happy New Year, Mom, he said. First day of a fresh start, right? I took the cup. My hands were shaking. Right, I said. But my voice was hollow. He noticed. Everything okay? Fine, just tired. He looked at me for a long moment. Something shifted in his eyes, but he didn't push. I'm going to head out this afternoon, he said. Catch an early flight, give you some space. Space. He thought I needed space. He had no idea what I'd heard. Nathan left that afternoon. At the door, he hesitated. Mom, I know this visit wasn't. I know it was hard, but I meant what I said. I want to try. I want to be better. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. He hugged me. I stood stiff in his arms like a wooden post. I love you, Mom, he said. The words cut deeper than anything, 'cause I didn't believe them anymore. Safe travels, I said, and I closed the door before he could say anything else. I didn't confront him. What would I have said? I heard you wishing me dead? He would have denied it, twisted it, made me feel like I was crazy. No, I kept it inside, let it fester. I called Derek that night. I need to see you, I said. Something happened. He came over within the hour, sat beside me on the couch, held my hand. What's wrong, Mom? You're scaring me. I told him. Every word, the hallway, the voice, the thing Nathan said when he thought I wasn't listening. Derek's face changed. Went from concerned to horrified. Oh, Mom, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you heard that. You believe me? Of course I believe you. He paused, looked away. I didn't want to say anything, but Nathan said something to me too, earlier that night, about how much easier things would be when you were gone. I thought he was just drunk. I thought he didn't mean it. My blood went cold. He said that to you? I didn't want to hurt you. I was hoping I was wrong, but if you heard it too. I started to cry. Derek held me. I've got you, Mom, he said. I've always got you. Nathan doesn't deserve you. He never did. And I believed him. God help me. I believed every word. The weeks after New Year's were dark. I stopped answering Nathan's calls, deleted his voicemails without listening to them. When he sent emails, I marked them as spam. He tried. I'll give him that. He tried to reach me, but every attempt felt like a lie. Every I love you felt like a mask hiding the monster underneath. I told Derek everything. He was my confidant now, my only trusted family. You're better off without him, Derek said. You deserve peace, not someone who's counting down the days until you're gone. I nodded, because what else could I do? I'd lost one son, but at least I still had the other. I told my friends, my church group, my neighbor Ruth, who'd been checking on me since the stroke. Nathan wished me dead, I said. On New Year's Eve, I heard him with my own ears. They were horrified, sympathetic, outraged on my behalf. That boy was always selfish, Ruth said, from the time he was young. You gave him everything, and this is how he repays you. You have Derek, my pastor said. Thank God for Derek. At least one of your sons turned out right. Everyone agreed. Nathan was the villain. Derek was the saint. And I believed it, because I needed to believe something. 3 months passed. The anger didn't fade. If anything, it crystallized, hardened into something permanent. I rewrote my will, cut Nathan out completely, everything to Derek. Are you sure about this, Mom? Derek asked when I told him. But there was something in his eyes, something that looked almost like satisfaction. I'm sure. He doesn't deserve a penny, not after what he said. Derek hugged me. I'll take care of everything. I always do. It was a Saturday in March when everything changed. Derek had been staying in his old room for the past few weeks, helping me with some repairs around the house, he said. I was grateful for the company. The house felt less empty with him there. He'd gone out to pick up groceries, left his phone charging on the kitchen counter. I was cleaning. I'd been meaning to tidy up his room for days, just change the sheets, dust the shelves, simple things. That's when I found the shoebox. It was tucked in the back of the closet, behind old blankets. I almost missed it. At first I thought it was keepsakes, maybe photos, maybe mementos from when he was young. I opened it, letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me, all unopened. My heart started pounding as I spread them across the bed. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, a Mother's Day card with a handwritten note visible through the envelope, a get well card from 3 years ago, right after my stroke. All from Nathan. I checked the postmarks. Some were 10 years old, some were from last month. He'd been writing to me. All this time, he'd been writing to me, and Derek had intercepted every single one. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open the envelopes, but I opened them one by one. Dear Mom, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I think about you every day. Mom, I heard about your stroke. I'm so sorry I can't be there. I've wired money to help with the medical bills. Derek said he'd make sure you got it. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope you know how much I love you even if I'm not good at showing it. Mom, I'm seeing a therapist now. I'm working on the anger. I want to be better for both of us. 10 years of letters, 10 years of reaching out, 10 years I never knew about. I was still sitting there when Derek's phone buzzed in the kitchen. The sound startled me. I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't thinking at all. I walked to the kitchen. The phone screen was lit up with a message. It was from Nathan. Did Mom get the $2,000 I sent last month? I stared at the words. $2,000? Last month, Derek had given me $200, handed it to me in an envelope with that sad, disappointed smile. It's not much, Mom, but it's all Nathan could spare. $200, when Nathan had sent $2,000. My hands moved on their own. I picked up the phone, scrolled. Months of messages, years of them. Nathan asking, did she get the money for her medication? Derek replying, yeah, she's all set. Thanks, brother. Nathan asking, did she like the birthday gift I sent? Derek replying, she loved it. I'll send a photo. There was no photo. There was no gift. I never received it. I scrolled further. Bank transfers. Thousands of dollars, year after year. Nathan had been sending money all along. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Derek had been taking it. I heard Derek's car pull into the driveway. Something cold settled over me. Something beyond anger, beyond grief. I set the phone down exactly where I'd found it. I walked back to his room, put the letters back in the shoebox, slid it into the closet. Then I sat down in my chair and waited. He came through the door with grocery bags, smile already in place. Hey, Mom, you okay? You look pale. Just tired, I said. Think I'll lie down. Good idea. You rest. I'll make dinner. I watched him move through the kitchen, humming, comfortable, the devoted son, and all I could see was the mask. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark and replayed everything, the phone messages, the letters, The years of Derek telling me Nathan didn't care. Nathan was selfish. Nathan couldn't be bothered. And I believed him. Every time I believed him. Because it was easier. Because Derek was there. And Nathan wasn't. Because I'd already decided who the good son was. And evidence that contradicted that story was too painful to accept. I'd spent 10 years hating Nathan for crimes Derek invented. Then the other memory surfaced. New Year's Eve, the voice in the hallway. Why is she even still alive? I'd been so certain it was Nathan, so certain that I hadn't questioned it for a second. But Nathan had been in the living room. I remembered now. He'd been refilling glasses, laughing at the television. I'd seen him there when I walked to the kitchen. Derek had stepped out, said he needed some air. Derek was the one in the hallway, alone, drunk. The voice I heard, it wasn't Nathan's, it was Derek's. The realization hit me like a second stroke. My baby, my golden boy, the son I'd chosen over and over again. He was the one who wanted me dead, not because I'd failed him, not because I'd pushed him away, because I was taking too long to die, because my survival was an inconvenience, because every day I kept breathing was another day he had to wait for his inheritance. The money he'd stolen from Nathan, the letters he'd hidden, the lies he'd told. 8 years, 8 years of performing, of I love you, Mom, of I've got you, all of it a con. And I'd been so desperate to believe in him that I'd handed him everything. 3 years. 3 years Derek let me hate Nathan, let me call him selfish, let me tell everyone who would listen that my firstborn son wished I was dead. Derek didn't just steal from me. He stole my relationship with Nathan. He stole years we could have had. He stole the chance for me to repair what I'd broken before it was too late. And he did it with a smile, with, I've got you, Mom, with Sunday phone calls and gentle hugs and eyes that looked so sincere, I never thought to question them. That's not a son. That's a predator in a family photo. He stole her money. He hid her letters. He turned her against her firstborn son. And every Sunday he called to say, I love you, Mom. Derek didn't love his mother. He managed her, like an investment, like a problem, like something that should have died 3 years ago. She had a stroke. She survived. She fought her way back. And her own son was angry she didn't die. The baby she protected, the favorite she defended, the golden boy who showed up every day after her stroke, not to help her live, but to wait for her to stop. Hit subscribe if you believe love should never be a performance. Only the Dereks of the world, the ones who smile while they take, would ignore this. Comment, I see him. If you've ever trusted someone who was only pretending, don't side with the sons who calculate. This one's for the mothers who survived and deserved better than the sons who wished they hadn't. I waited 3 days, 3 days of watching Derek move through my house like he owned it. 3 days of, good morning, Mom, and let me get that for you, Mom, and that smile, that goddamn smile that I used to think meant love. I watched him, and I saw everything I'd missed for 8 years. The way his eyes flickered to the mail when it arrived. The way he checked his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he calculated every kindness like a transaction. How had I been so blind? Because I wanted to be. Because seeing the truth meant admitting I'd chosen wrong. that I'd pushed away the son who actually loved me and held on to the one who was waiting for me to die. On the fourth day, I told Derek I needed to talk. "Of course, Mom, what's on your mind?" We sat in the living room, him on the couch, relaxed, unsuspecting, me in my chair, Kane beside me, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. "I found the shoebox," I said. He didn't flinch. Not at first. "What shoebox?" "The one in your closet, with the letters." Something shifted in his face. Just a flicker. Then the mask resettled. "I don't know what you're talking about." 10 years of letters from Nathan, all unopened, all addressed to me. You hid them, Derek. Every single one. He was quiet for a long moment. I watched him calculate, watched him decide which lie to tell. "Mom," he said slowly, like he was talking to a child, "I was trying to protect you. Nathan's letters were full of manipulation, guilt trips. I didn't want him hurting you when you were already fragile." "You read them?" "I skimmed them, enough to know they'd upset you. Then you would have seen the birthday cards, the get well cards, the notes asking about my health, telling me he loved me, asking why I never responded." Derek's jaw tightened. "He was playing you. That's what he does." "Is that why you took his money, too?" The mask cracked. "What?" "I saw your phone, Derek. The messages from Nathan, the transfers, thousands of dollars over the years, money he sent for my medication, for my care, for me. I can explain. You gave me $200 last month and told me it was all Nathan could spare. He sent 2,000. Where's the rest?" He stood up, started pacing. "You don't understand? Do you know how much it costs to take care of you? The appointments, the medications, the time I spend here, that money was compensation for everything I've sacrificed." "Sacrificed?" I could barely get the word out. "You call this sacrifice?" "Yes. While Nathan was off living his life, I was here. I was the one who showed up. I was the one who wiped your face when you couldn't hold a spoon. I was the one who waited for me to die." He stopped pacing. "What?" "New Year's Eve in the hallway. You thought you were alone." His face went pale. "Why is she even still alive?" "Those were your words, Derek, not Nathan's. Yours. You're confused. The stroke affected your memory. You've admitted that yourself." "My memory's fine. Nathan was in the living room, refilling glasses, laughing at the television. I saw him when I walked to the kitchen." I leaned forward. "You were the one who stepped out. You said you needed air. You were in that hallway, alone, drunk, and you said what you've been thinking for 3 years. Mom, I blame Nathan. For 3 months, I blame my own son for something you said. I cut him off, stopped answering his calls, told everyone he wished me dead." My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. "He came here to make amends. He tried to repair a relationship I broke years ago, and I threw it back in his face because you told me he was the enemy, because I trusted you. Derek's mask fell away completely. What was underneath wasn't sadness, wasn't remorse, wasn't the face of a son realizing he'd been caught. It was anger. Do you have any idea what I've given up for you?" His voice rose. 8 years. 8 years of my life. Waiting. Watching you shuffle around this house, refusing to sell it, refusing to go to a home, refusing to just... He stopped himself, but not fast enough. "Refusing to just what, Derek? Die?" "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." I stood up slowly, My legs were unsteady, but my voice wasn't. I want you out of my house. Mom, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You've been stealing from me, lying to me, destroying my relationship with your brother, and wishing I was dead so you could finally get what you've been waiting for. That's not... I didn't mean... Get out. He stared at me. For a moment I saw something human flicker in his eyes. Fear, maybe, or shock that his carefully constructed world was collapsing. Then his face hardened. Fine, he said, but don't expect me to come running when you fall again. Don't expect me to pick up the phone when you're lonely. You're choosing Nathan over me after everything I've done? You didn't do anything for me, Derek. You did it for yourself. Every kindness, every visit, every I love you, it was all for you. I was just the waiting room before the payout. He grabbed his keys, walked to the door. You'll regret this, he said without turning around. No, I said. I regret a lot of things, but not this. The door slammed behind him. I sat alone in the silence for a long time. The house felt different now, emptier, but also cleaner, like a wound finally exposed to air. I thought about calling the police, about the stolen money, the fraud. But that could wait. There was something more important I had to do first. I picked up my phone, scrolled to Nathan's number. My finger hovered over the call button. This was the hardest call I'd ever have to make, harder than telling Thomas's mother her son was dead, harder than calling the ambulance when the stroke hit, because this time I wasn't delivering bad news. I was admitting I'd been the bad news. For 42 years, I pressed call. He answered on the second ring. Mom? His voice was cautious, guarded. 3 months of silence had done that. Nathan. Just his name. I couldn't get anything else out at first. Is everything okay? Are you hurt? Even now, even after I'd cut him off, refused his calls, treated him like a criminal. His first instinct was worry. I'm not hurt, I said. But I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me finish. Silence on the line, then okay. I told him everything, the shoebox, the letters, the phone messages, the money Derek had stolen. I told him what Derek said on New Year's Eve, what I'd heard, what I'd assumed. I told him I was wrong, that I'd spent 3 months blaming him for something his brother said, that I'd spent 10 years believing lies because they were easier than questioning the son who stayed. I told him I was sorry, not just for the last 3 months, for all of it, for the favoritism, for the comparisons, for making him feel like he'd never be enough. I pushed you away your whole life, I said, and when you tried to come back, I pushed you away again. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I needed you to know the truth. Nathan was quiet for a long time. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, probably trying to process, probably trying to decide if this was real. Say something, I whispered. Please. His voice cracked. I thought you hated me. These past 3 months, I thought I'd lost you forever. I didn't know what I'd done wrong. I kept replaying New Year's Eve, trying to figure out where I messed up. You didn't mess up. You didn't do anything wrong. I was wrong about all of it. More silence. Then, the letters. Did you read them? Everyone. I read everyone. And the money? I've been sending money for years. Derek always said you were fine, that you didn't need anything. I never saw it, Nathan. He told me you barely sent anything, that you didn't care enough to help. I heard him exhale, a long, shaky breath. 8 years, he said. I've been trying to help for 8 years, and you never knew. I know now. I used to wonder why you never wrote back, Nathan said quietly. I'd send cards, letters, emails, nothing. I thought you were just done with me, that I'd burned the bridge too badly. I thought you'd stopped caring, Derek said. I caught myself. It doesn't matter what Derek said. I should have asked. I should have called you myself instead of taking his word for everything. Why didn't you? The question hung there, the one I'd been avoiding for years. Because it was easier to believe you didn't care than to admit I'd driven you away. If you were the villain, I didn't have to look at myself. Nathan was quiet. I've been in therapy for 2 years, he finally said, working through all of it, the childhood stuff, the feeling like I was never good enough. My therapist kept asking me if I'd ever confronted you about it. I kept saying no. What was the point? You'd already decided who I was. I was wrong about who you are. I was wrong about everything. I know. Can you forgive me? I asked. The question felt too small for 42 years of damage, but it was all I had. Nathan was quiet for what felt like forever. I want to, he said finally. I've wanted to for a long time. But forgiveness isn't a light switch, Mom. I can't just flip it on because you finally see the truth. I know. I spent my whole life trying to earn something Derek got for free. Do you understand what that does to a person? How hard it is to just exist when you're constantly being measured against someone else and coming up short? I didn't see it, I said. I should have, but I didn't. No, you didn't. I thought he might hang up then, end the call, leave me in the wreckage I'd created, but he didn't. I'm not saying no, he said. I'm saying it's going to take time. I can't just come back and pretend everything's fine. There's too much history. I understand. But I don't want to lose you either. Despite everything, you're still my mother. I started to cry. Couldn't help it. The tears came fast and hot, and I didn't try to stop them. I've waited 30 years to hear you see me, Nathan continued. To hear you admit that maybe I wasn't the problem, that maybe the way you treated me wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. None of it was fair. No, he said. It wasn't. What happens now? I asked. I don't know. I think we start over, or try to, but slowly. I can't come running back and fall into old patterns. I won't survive that again. I won't ask you to. And Derek, I took a breath. I told him to leave. I don't want to see him again. Mom, he stole from me. He lied to me. He destroyed our relationship on purpose, Nathan. He wanted you out of the picture so he could have everything. I know, but he's still your son. So are you, and I chose wrong for 40 years. I won't make that mistake again. Nathan flew in 2 weeks later, not to stay, just to visit, to start the slow work of rebuilding something I'd spent decades tearing down. He stood in my doorway again, like he had on New Year's Eve. But this time, I didn't freeze. I walked to him, slowly with my cane, and I hugged him, really hugged him, maybe for the first time in 20 years. I'm sorry, I said into his shoulder. I'm so sorry. He held me, didn't say anything, just held on. We talked for hours that first visit, and the next, and the next. He told me about his life overseas, his work, the family he'd built, the years I'd missed. I told him about the stroke, about the recovery, about the loneliness that had eaten at me since Thomas died. We talked about the hard things, too, the favoritism, the scapegoating, the ways I'd failed him as a mother. I didn't defend myself, didn't make excuses, just listened. I'm not asking you to forget, I told him. I know the damage I've done. I'm just asking for a chance to be better, whatever time I have left. That's all I ever wanted, he said. It's been 6 months since that first phone call. Nathan and I talk every week now, sometimes more. He's planning to visit again next month, bringing his wife this time. She wants to meet me. I'm nervous. What do you say to the woman who loved your son when you couldn't? How do you apologize for 30 years of being the mother-in-law from hell without ever meeting her? But I'll try. That's all I can do now. Try. Derek hasn't called? I thought he might. Some desperate attempt to explain, to manipulate his way back in. But there's been nothing. No calls, no letters, no, I'm sorry, Mom. I changed my will. Everything goes to Nathan now. Not as punishment, not as revenge. Just truth. Finally. Derek spent 8 years waiting for me to die. He can spend the rest of his life with nothing to show for it. I think about that night sometimes. New Year's Eve, the hallway, the words. Why is she even still alive? I survived a stroke. I survived my husband's death. I survived 8 years of being lied to by the son I loved most. And I'm still here. Not because I'm too stubborn to die. Because I had something left to do. Someone left to love. A wrong left to make right. Last week, Nathan sent me a letter. A real letter. Handwritten. Just like the ones I never got to read. It said, Mom, I've spent most of my life trying to understand why things were the way they were. Why Derek got your love and I got your disappointment. I'm not sure I'll ever fully understand, but I'm learning it doesn't matter as much as I thought it did. What matters is what we do now. You saw me. Finally. After 42 years, you saw me. That's not nothing. That's everything. Nathan. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a shoebox of my own. I'm 68 years old. I've made more mistakes than I can count. I favored one son over another. I pushed away the one who loved me and held on to the one who was waiting for me to die. I believed lies because they were comfortable. I told myself stories because the truth was too painful. But I'm still here, and as long as I'm breathing, I have the chance to do better. If you've stayed with me this long, I want you to hear something. We all have Dereks in our lives, the ones who say the right things, who show up, who smile and hug and make us feel safe. The ones we want to believe are good because the alternative is too hard to face. And we all have Nathans, the ones we pushed away, the ones we blamed, the ones we labeled difficult or selfish because it was easier than asking what we did to hurt them. The hardest thing I ever did was look at that shoebox full of hidden letters and realize I'd been loving the wrong son. The second hardest thing was picking up the phone and admitting it. But I did it, and it didn't kill me. If there's someone in your life you've been wrong about, someone you've blamed, dismissed, or pushed away, I'm asking you to do something hard. Pick up the phone. Write the letter. Say the words you should have said years ago. It's not too late. Not until it is. This is Grandma Willa. Thank you for listening.